So we'll move to our 7 o'clock agenda item, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, tonight led by our colleague, John Cunningham.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our 7:02 item is open forum, and let's start with you, Kristen. Is there anything tonight for open forum?
I actually do not have anything tonight for open forum.
Okay, anything from the board? No? Okay. Anything from the public?
Do you want to mention the town hall's closed next Monday?
Town hall is closed next Monday for President's Day. Town hall is closed next Monday for President's Day. We hope everyone has a good holiday.
Emily, would you like to speak?
Emily Teller, 9 Texas Road. I don't know if this is exactly the time to say this, but it may be later in the agenda, but I didn't want to take up too much time then, so I'll be quick now. I have some concerns about the communications 65-page document that I didn't get all the way through. And I'm a pretty passionate citizen here, but it feels really like a lot of boilerplate to me. And I was disappointed in that. For one thing, it talked about it didn't sound like it was made for Westford. It sounded like a lot of boilerplate was stuck in. I was concerned about for one thing, it said press release, police activity, no to the media. And it's like, I don't know about the media in the past. Everybody's always interested in the police report. So that was kind of a surprise to me. And I felt like it didn't include WestfordCAT, which is a vehicle that we have both online and now hard copy to communicate things that a regular media would be used for. I also felt it was just daunting to read through for the average citizen. And I don't know whether other departments have gotten it and have reviewed it and you've gotten feedback. And if it's on the agenda, maybe you'll answer some of those questions at that time. But it just seems a little early for a vote for this if it hasn't been vetted through other town departments that will be impacted.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. Other items for public forum? Diane?
Diane Wood, 122 Depot. I want to give a shout out to Mike Edwards and to Noel today. We had the Patriot Throw Forum at Cameron, very well received today. About 60 people, attended, really good questions, and repeatedly saying, is this going to be, are more of these going to be done and communicated? Because a lot of good points come out, and a lot of people really don't know that level of detail. So it was really well done. People understood. Mike went on and on. It was good.
In a good way.
Not practicing for town meeting.
6 minutes.
It was very well received with people asking, are there going to be more of these? The public needs to know. The public needs to know. So it circles back to communication. Right? But thank you.
Mention town meeting preview.
What?
Mention town meeting preview.
Oh, yes. And side note, the League of Women Voters town preview is
March
19th.
19th.
So just a reminder that March 19th is the League of Women town preview, where we will review, with leadership and with Kristen and the department heads, the articles, and an opportunity to just informally ask questions without getting up in front of thousands, hundreds of people.
It's a good way for Mike to practice.
We wish. So pay attention to that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for the feedback, and thanks to Noel and Mike for such a great event. Sarah.
Sarah Fletcher, 19 Plain Road, Director of WestfordCAT. And thank you, Emily, for your vote of confidence for us. And to Dennis Galvin, I'd like to say thank you for shouting out WestfordCAT as a vehicle for communication. And as I read through the Mass General laws, not my thing usually, but looking for how one becomes the newspaper of record, we apparently, in my reading, we qualify. We've been digitally available for over 10 years. We are now a year at a marker 1 year print news, and we have a subscriber base small but growing, and we deliver also to several places around town and make it available, like at the Village of Mystery Springs, Cameron Senior Center, the library, and things like that. So I think we are now eligible to be just selected as the newspaper of record. As you look to post those notices, you look at the available options and choose the one that's the best for your needs. There's no voting for it, there's no adopting it for officially. So we are available to be the newspaper of record. We have an online application called Column, and we are available to handle that. And I would like to just maybe set a grace period maybe of 3 months to give this a try, continue to use the Little Sun while kind of adopting us to see how it works out, give us a chance to get up to steam on this and make it happen at no charge, just see if we can make it happen. We're only a weekly, whereas Little Sun is a daily, but we are available. So I have more papers if anybody's interested.
Thanks, Sarah.
And there was one other thing I was going to say, but I've forgotten, so. Oh, well.
Great, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
So that's not on the agenda for tonight, but maybe in a future time we'll think about eligibility and practice. Al?
Open forum?
Yeah, you bet.
Good evening, everyone. Indulge me and let me see if I can.
Do you mind just doing name and address?
Al Prescott.
Yeah.
16 Lakeshore Drive North.
It's perfect.
I know, I did forget that. Let me see if I can set the tone here. Are winter doldrums getting you down? Do you need something new and interesting to do? You know, the Olympics are out there. And in celebration of the Olympics in particular, the strangest shooting sport people have ever heard of, the biathlon. The Westford Sportsman's Club would like to invite our neighbors in Westford to come down and try biathlon. This will take place for Westford residents who are not members of the club on Sunday, March 1st, starting at 8 o'clock. Details will be published on our website this coming Thursday, and we will advertise, perhaps, in what I hear is the new paper of record in town. So to everyone here and to everybody in town, please come on down. We look forward to seeing you.
Thanks, Al. Where can people learn more? Is there something?
People can learn more at westfordsportsmansclub.org starting on Thursday when it gets posted.
Okay, awesome. And people bring their own skis and...
Bring your own skis,
Come
and
in.
if you don't ski, if you want to bring your own shoes or snowshoes, go ahead. We will have those two divisions. All the shooting equipment we will provide. In order to comply with mass law, this will be air guns.
Okay.
But it'll be just as fun, I promise.
Very
If you
cool.
want to get your heart rate up without taking 6 espressos, this is a fun way to do it. I hope to see everyone there.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Al.
very much, and good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Right.
that's great. Okay, that was more than I expected. Anything else we have tonight? Open forum? I've worked with Al for a long time, that is not what I expected. But I'm delighted.
Have you ever had music before at your?
Yeah.
I'm delighted, well, yeah, the production value's up. Okay. Anything else for performance tonight?
I don't see anyone online with
Okay,
anything.
then we will move on to our 708 item, which is the consent agenda. We have a request to approve the following. A banner request. The event is online registration for the Westford Community Garden. The applicant is Joanna Donaher of the Westford Community Garden. Banner dates is March 9th through 16th, 2026. Location is First Parish Church. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous. Next up, we have the 710 item, which is a request for a change of manager. Mass General Law 13812, all alcohol beverages club licensed at the Club Franco-American de Westford, located at 55 West Prescott Street. The proposed manager is Ann Connell, and the requester is Randall Medley of the Club Franco-American. And anything we should, everything in order?
Everything's in order. I don't see the applicant before us this evening.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Any,
Do you want to come to the table, just in case they have any questions for you?
any questions for Ann tonight?
Straightforward.
Sure.
Okay. Seems pretty straightforward and routine, but Ann, if you've got anything you'd like to say, we'd be happy to hear it. You're good? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve. The request is outlined in our
Second.
agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, it's unanimous. Thank you, Ann.
Thanks for coming by.
Next up, 7:15, the recommendation from the Department of Public Works regarding allocation of multi-district litigation. I understand we're going to push this to another meeting.
We are going to postpone this. The Department of Public Works wanted to have more conversations with the Board of Health regarding this before they came with their final recommendations to the Select Board.
Okay. Do you think our 7:25 is ready, or should we go ahead and jump forward since we're a little bit ahead?
So I believe that they are online. I don't know if you want to do some contracts in advance in case there's anybody logging on for 7:25
Let's do
to hear
that.
that.
Let's do that. So let's go to the town manager's report. That's the 8:30 item if you're following along on your agenda, and please take it away.
Sure. So we have 3 sets of contracts this evening. The first is the Westford Police Superiors Association collective bargaining agreement for fiscal year 26 through 28 as requested by the town manager's office. We did review this in detail under executive session this evening.
So we should go ahead and
Let's
take a vote.
take a separate
Okay.
vote on that. Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement for the Westford Police Superiors Association for fiscal year 26 through 28 as requested by the town manager's office.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Great. The next set are 3 contracts for the 300-unit proposal at 219 Littleton Road, the former Westford Regency site. These are for peer review associated with the planning board. The planning board opened their public hearing related to this project last week. So the first is for Dodson and Flinker for the McMod bylaw review in the amount of $15,317 as requested by the Land Use Department. The next is for TEC, the traffic review in the amount of $15,250 as requested by the Land Use Management Department. And the last is for Ty and Bond for civil and stormwater review in the amount of $16,000 as requested by the Land Use Management Department. I want to be clear that the applicant is paying these fees, but they are contracts with the town of Westford, so that is why it's on your agenda this evening.
Do you want to do the next one too?
Yes, so the next and final is for cleaning and redevelopment of the Stupinski and Fletcher Wells by Mayor Services in the amount of $44,500 as requested by the Water Department, will be paid out of the Water Enterprise.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 2 and 3 under the town manager's report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Should we step backward in time and do old new business?
If you'd like, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
I know the league, I don't know if the league is here for that. Okay, so yes, the league is here. So item 11A.
Okay. So item 11A is to discuss the email from the League of Women Voters regarding the request to include a single email address in all town board and committee web pages. Kristen, I know that we talked about that a little bit, and I think we understand why that might be desirable, but it also, I think, added a lot of complexity and sort of, I think what you brought up, if I remember correctly, was that it might invite people to email the entire board when the question might apply to an individual.
Yes, so 2 factors, and I do want to hear from the league
Yep.
if you'd like to hear from them as well to understand their reasoning. We have people coming on and off town boards and committees very frequently at this point in time, and to manage all of those emails into a single email address is additional staff time and staff capacity, so we'd probably have to do something else that we're not doing now to manage this, as well as if there is a single email address that goes to all board and committee members. There is somewhat of a concern of someone replying all and then it becoming public record or a deliberation on email. So those are just the 2 items that I see as potential issues. I do want to hear from the league of their desire for this or what the reasoning is, and perhaps we could come up with some sort of compromise that would serve their need as well as other community member needs.
Great, well, welcome.
Yeah, you mind if I sit instead of stand?
Yeah, no problem.
First off, Vicki Geary, 51 Carlisle Road. Thank you guys for entertaining this and discussing it. As you all know, one of the primary missions of the League of Women Voters is voter service and voter engagement. And communication goes a long way to that. It's part of your strategic plan. And that report, having a communication plan as you do, or as you're about to hopefully vote on, is important. But I saw that and I said, that's great, for you communicating out to the town. But you need to have a mechanism for the voters to communicate back. I understand what the logistics, we discussed this last week at our steering committee meeting, of maybe doing it all to all committees or, all that. Maybe we start small and do it to board members. I will say, I've worked at a lot of places and we've had what I would call this an alias. So it's
Yep.
we have it for the steering committee. You're right, you will all end up getting an email. But to me, that's not a downside. That is a plus because it's transparency. It's transparency for the voter to know that they're going to be heard. And it's transparency for you all to know what is going on out there. Again, I do understand the logistics of it. I understand the concerns. But according to some of the information, and I could be wrong, there is already an internal alias created that the boards are operating under. So it would maybe not be a simple matter, but it is a matter of turning that on and making that available to the public. And as far as responding to it, that is something, and again, in our experience, you either designate somebody who's going to respond to any and all emails. I know I happen to be one of them that does that. Or if it's, and I'm going to use the pay-as-you-throw as an example, like Noelle has been leading the charge here on the select board. So, maybe if there was an email that came in through like that to all of you, again, in the interest of transparency, you're the one to respond to it because that's been your charge, so to speak. But the idea behind this and why we've requested it is for merely that, to make it easier for voters to communicate with you. I will say I'm going to say this, it's a pain in the tuchus to sit there and copy paste all the email addresses anytime we've sent this to you. I've sent emails to boards before, not this particular iteration, where I haven't gotten a response. Again, it's about transparency, it's about making the voter feel heard. And that's why we've come forward to it. Again, if you don't want to do it for all the committees, maybe it's just for the boards at this time.
So I know Chris has a question, but first, just so I understand, so there's a couple different reasons that you've mentioned that you may want this to happen. One might be sort of convenience for voter engagement, like they can always go to pedestrian safety committee at Westford.com or something.
Yep.
And if the internal officer changeover, they don't have to worry about that, they don't have to log in and check, they don't have to read it, they can just, that's the way to get them. You could do that and have that just go to the chair, for example. There's another point that you brought up, which is sort of convenience and accessing everybody on a board in a more streamlined way. If you were going to kind of rate those in terms of what your goals are, because when you automatically go to everybody, that's when you introduce the open meeting law complexity. And some boards have different protocols. Some people like things to go to one person who will then either respond or assign to somebody else to respond, rather than have it be like a jump ball where everyone doesn't know what to do next. So are those equally important to you, or are they different importance to you? Or?
I would say different. I it's interesting. I'm not as familiar with those open meeting laws, so that is certainly a point that we can take into consideration. But it really comes down to having the voters being able to communicate with you all simply and clearly without having to, it can be.
It's not so user-friendly. They have to click through and
It
figure
is
out.
not user-friendly.
Okay.
It is not user-friendly. And that's really, again, I think that's our ultimate goal. If I were to rank this, that's our ultimate goal, is to make this user-friendly.
Make it easier. Okay.
Right, because,
Thank you.
like it or not, there is an issue in this town, I'm just gonna say it, there's an issue with this town of transparency. And that's part of your communication plan, I think, address that, and, saying that was one of your objectives, is to foster transparency. Transparency works both ways. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you. And Kristen, I know you had a question, they'll go to the board.
So are you speaking about all boards and committees or just the select board?
I'm speaking about all boards and committees,
Okay.
but, it's the whole, you walk before you run kind of thing. We're totally willing to, you wanna beta test this, Here we go.
So last year, we did create select board at westfordma.gov, and that email goes to all 5 board members, including myself and Mike.
Mhm.
So that was not available a year ago, and now it is available. So I just wanted to remind members of the public
Okay.
about that. And that is on the select board's webpage.
Okay.
So we did create that line of communication because I was sensing some of the board members were getting communication, I wasn't, and I wasn't able to help foster that. So now
Exactly.
we've closed that loop for select board at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, and see, that's a perfect example of one of the reasons we are encouraging this, not just with the select board, but with, all the boards. Yes, I can understand it might be more challenging with the committees, but, at least roll this out to all the boards. And I don't know, like I said, I haven't done this in a while, but, yeah, we just need to make sure that we promote it as well.
Okay, I
And
think
we
I
can
understand.
promote it, for sure.
Sean?
Yeah, I guess this is directed to Krista. Krista, would it be a lot less of a load on our staff if we just did, I think Tom alluded to this, if it was the alias and it was directed just to the chair, right? Because that strikes me, because when you're including every committee member in every committee that we have, it's an awful lot of people. But if we just pick the chairs, then obviously there's a lot less turnover with our chairs too, and have them manage it, and they'd be at the discretion of that. Would that be less of a load on our town staff?
I would want to talk to the IT department about that. There are often times where the chairpersonship does change and we don't get notified. So I'd want to make sure there's proper communications in place that we are notified if that is the case in the process. So I'm not saying that it can't happen.
Sure.
I think there's just certain controls or checks and balances that we need to establish related to that. Right now the clerk's office manages our database that shows the chair for the most part, but sometimes those boards and committees do change the chair and don't notify the clerk's office. So it would just be additional education, which is fine, but I'd want to walk that through with the clerk's office and with the IT department.
Can I ask a question related to that, though?
You may.
I understand, having to go to one person, and that's great. But I also know coverage is a really good thing, and sometimes I've sent emails and have not gotten acknowledgement of it. So when you say, would you have it sent to just the chairman, as you were pointing out a minute ago, chairperson, you get copied on that alias. Is there a way to have that sort of checks and balances so that because like I said, everybody's human. We have a lot of emails coming back and forth. It's very easy sometimes to miss an email, but if you have more than one person kind of monitoring it, it at least increase the likelihood it's going to get responded to, even if the response is, thank you for your email, I understand this is an issue for you, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
So I think I understand that point. Other questions from the board? Chris?
Yeah, not really a question, more a couple points. I agree with everything you're saying. I think it's super frustrating for myself or a member of the public emailing a board member and not getting a response. I think that's just terrible. It happens. These are all volunteers. They have lives. In many cases, they're juggling multiple email addresses, which is another thing that we're trying to correct. But baby steps, right?
Yeah.
I do think technically, when we do enter somebody into the board and committee database, right, that's what's populating the web pages and all the other things. It seems to me that there's not a huge technological leap to say, okay, when that person gets added, we should be requiring an email address, whether it's a town one or their personal, but that we have an add to the appropriate distribution list. I think technically that's not a huge lift, and I think getting to meet our new IT director, I think he's got the chops to pull that off. I do hear the challenges though with it going to the entire board or committee. But I think that's a process thing that we can solve through education. We are looking forward at our next meeting to bring forth the new board and committee handbook. Unfortunately, we don't cover this in the handbook, but maybe we can either get it in the handbook or it'll be a fast add for additional direction to boards and committees to set that communication protocol. In many cases, in my experience, it is the chair that's responding, but different boards and committees work differently. And I think it would be helpful to have some standard in place to provide consistency in terms of that feedback and engagement between the boards and committees and the townspeople.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
I think it's a really good step in the right direction, and I think I'd like to see us do all we can to make it work.
I mean, I'll give you an example with the league. We have a website, we have our info at lwv.westford.org.
Yeah.
Lynn and I monitor it. That email goes to us, and we tag team
Yeah.
on, and that's just an example. It can work, and I
That
get,
sounds like a good process.
well, and I get, the concerns, multiple email addresses. I personally have 7 email addresses that I have to monitor. 7. I have 2 work, 1 personal. I mean, I could go on.
4
So-
phones, 2
Yeah.
beepers.
So I think we understand the issue. Thank you for bringing it up. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to move on to the next
Yeah.
agenda item. Chris, do you have something on this? Oh, please.
Christy Bates, 23 Pierce Avenue. I just want to say I just checked the website for both the school committee and select board. And school committee has a link that says contact the school committee, yet each individual, each member has their email address listed. Select board, it doesn't have that same, even though you do have, Kristen, as you mentioned, you have a select board general email address. It's not on the website. And then I would recommend, as you're investigating this, reach out to the school committee, because I think they've been doing this for a while. And so they must have a method in place on how they reply to emails.
Yeah, as we do too. So thank you, Chris, I appreciate that. So I guess why don't we ask that this come back in the future with the suggestion, and I think there's 2 different, one is sort of the public access accessibility thing, which I think is great. And then the other is, I think, a more complicated issue where individual boards have different protocols, and we'll have to kind of weigh, do we want to step on that and make them all do it the same way, or allow some freedom?
So Christy, it may not show up on the mobile version, but if you go to the select board website, it says contact us, select board, and then email, and there's a link to get into the email. So there may be an issue with the mobile version. Just for the public, I just wanted to make sure people knew that that was on there.
Can I ask a quick question?
You can, quickly.
Emily Teller, 9 Texas Road. Kristen, are you on that group email too?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, because it probably, should it say that? I don't know.
I usually reply on behalf of the board when they come in. I say, on behalf of the board, we've received your email. We'll take it under advisement at a certain meeting, or I respond on behalf of the board as I can. So I don't know if it's necessary for the public to know that I'm on there, but we can have that policy discussion with the select board.
Okay, that's just transparency again. And as, I don't know recently, but in the past, I've found some people that don't have emails listed under their committees and stuff, and I would hope that that has been corrected.
Yes. That, not yes, that's been corrected, but I know that's been
We're
the
aware.
case in the past. Okay, excellent. We are, let's go back to our 7:25 item. I guess just to close this loop, so at some future meeting, we'll come back to this and
Yes.
talk about, after you've had a chance to think about it. Okay. So we're at our 7:25 item, which is to review and approve the communications plan and discuss the calendar year 2026 strategy from Capital Strategic Solutions. So welcome, Capital Strategic Solutions.
Great. So we're just promoting them to panelists. Unfortunately, they wanted to be here, but the weather is keeping them at home. So they'll give their presentation remotely tonight. So Liz and Nicole, if you want to introduce yourselves, and then we can go through the communication plan first, and then we can discuss the strategy for calendar year 2026.
Sure. Thank you for having us this evening, and I do apologize. Mother Nature has not been cooperative with us this year. I'm Nicole Figueredo. I'm the CEO of Capital Strategic Solutions.
And hi, everyone. I'm Liz Kalajian, project manager with Capital Strategic Solutions, and I'm the project lead with our contract with Westford. I'm going to get right into it. So thank you again for having us. And again, sorry that we couldn't be there in person. But we're really excited to be here and to share the communications plan. So the communications plan is being presented to the select board to establish a clear, coordinated, and resident-focused approach to how the town of Westford shares information. The plan was developed through a review of existing town communication practices, input from stakeholders, key findings from the 2024 community-wide survey, conversations with board and committee members, and an assessment of best practices used by peer municipalities in Massachusetts. It's designed to address identified gaps in consistency, accessibility, and coordination while building on Westford's strengths, and to also provide a practical framework for improving transparency, trust, and engagement over time. The communications plan is intended to be a living document that evolves over time as communication methods, technologies, community needs continue to change. And as Westford grows and diversifies, the plan should be regularly reviewed and refined to reflect how residents access information, how they prefer to engage with their local government, and what best represents the town's identity and values. By remaining flexible and responsive, the plan will help ensure that Westford's communications stay relevant, inclusive, and also aligned with the character of the community that it serves. And we look forward to your review, edits, any questions, and to continue working with you all in Westford. Does anyone have any questions right now about the plan?
Just to frame this, we reviewed the plan internal as all departments. I know that was a question of the public. So all departments reviewed the plan. All departments have been receiving training from Capital Strategic Solutions. The select board reviewed the plan and did have some comments that they wanted clarified. We're hoping that those items were clarified in the draft that you have before you this evening. Happy to take any comments that you have and make any final adjustments before a decision is made by the board.
John?
Well, I had several comments, but most of them were answered, but I still don't understand. Do we have a communications policy as a select board?
I think this would be I think what we're talking about is this stepping in to become the communication.
To me, this is almost the cart before the horse, because there is no, if we don't have a select board policy on this, then how can we have a plan that we can go forward with? I noticed in the listing, one of my pet peeves, I guess, was that when you list this, you start out town manager, PIO, select board. So it's almost like the select board is a kind of an afterthought as far as the management of this thing is concerned. I don't understand, I don't think we need a public information officer, to tell you the honest truth. I don't see with all the manpower issues we have, excuse that term, manpower, but all the issues, I don't know how we could, have a public information officer. Who do they report to? How do they manage that? And then we talk about policies, but that's way back in the appendices. We talk about policies that aren't developed yet. And so my concern is, are you operating under this plan now?
Yes. Yes.
So you're operating under the plan that we really haven't looked at and approved. I have some issues with just the way this is going forward. And so.
Well, I think this is part of what we're trying to do tonight, or try to get to through some sequence. So, but I understand your point, which is, I guess and you've made the point before, sort of the order of operations. So I think this document does say that, like, everything will be handled by the town manager, only by the town manager's approval will anything different happen. And I also have the question, are there circumstances where the select board and the town manager need to come together in some cases to, not for an urgent, emergency thing like a water main breaking, but there could certainly be things that we might want a right of consultation for.
Well, I think there's some things in there. When I was looking at, what is it, the CCT, or what is that? The team for crises, or whatever, the CC.
The crisis communications.
Yeah, okay. And there, somewhere is the select board has to get the approval of the town manager to be a spokesperson or something like that. And it just doesn't fit right when I'm thinking about, the select board, according to the charter, is the executive of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And the way this thing comes across to me is it doesn't reflect that. And I think that needs to look.
Okay.
Because, we're talking about how you operate within the town, the organization of the town. Then how do we, there's that other level where we deal with the public, we're the elected executive of the town. And I think this is operating over here in a way that needs a policy from us on how to operate, or how we engage with the citizens, how we do accomplish these things. So I still have some serious concerns about this. I understand the motive for it. I think the goals are good, but I think something's been lost in the details, in my view. So that's my comment.
Okay, so I think I understand the point that either a policy should direct that this is the select board's intent, this approach, or there should be some way that for certain issues, I think for orderly operations, you wouldn't want select board members individually going off and necessarily, well, I guess they would have that right, one would think, but there would be a benefit probably to coordination, there'd probably be a benefit to having a discussion with town manager, but maybe there's some set of issues that a right of consultation is more appropriate.
Yeah, just one more point. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be happy to see something that started off select board, and this plan will operate in accordance with the policies established by the select board. You know, something like that, because that's the umbrella that we provide as far as leadership's concerned. How we deal with the elected board, so how we deal with our citizens, we need that kind of level of attention on that. Then the town manager, yeah, I'm still not happy, I still don't understand the public information office. Is that in the budget?
We'll come back to everybody.
Okay,
But let's keep going, that's another good point. I also had the question, there's sort of positions and roles called out without individuals assigned to them. Would the public information officer in this case be like a temporary duty assigned to somebody who's already on staff?
So right now, Capital Strategic Solutions serves as our public information officer.
Okay.
Many municipalities, counties, other organizations, the government, state government, federal government have public information officers. That is something that is very standard. Westford had not had that in the past. The Westford Police Department has a specific public information officer just for the police department to do their public safety communications. So in many communities, the public information officer is either a communications consultant, a communications staff person, or another staff person designated by the select board or the town manager at the point in time. So this is it's a very common occurrence for a municipality to have that position and role.
Okay.
So at this point in time, Capital Strategic Solutions, through their contract with us, is the public information officer. If and when their contract terminates, we would either need to decide, do we still continue with a public information officer? Do I appoint them as an internal staff person? Do we do an external person? What is that at that point in time?
Okay, so I think I understand that there are roles called out that could be assigned to a contractor or an individual. So I also had questions about like just how exactly does this work, and at least in my read of it, I didn't see like, okay, I understand the roles, but who's assigned in each of these, to act in each of these steps? Maybe the public information officer was the only one that was left
May have been.
unclear. Okay. Other questions from the board? Yeah?
It's mentioned in here that we're using Instagram as one of our platforms, and we actually don't have an Instagram page, so I was wondering what was up with that. And a lot of people around town, the younger generation, don't use Facebook for whatever reasons, political reasons, and would prefer to get their information through Instagram. And personally, I know that there's a way to link a Facebook page and an Instagram page, so when you make a post, it automatically goes to both of them. So I don't think that it would be too much extra work, and I think that it would reach a lot more people around town.
So Nicole and Liz are going to talk about that in our 2026 strategies.
Okay, so there's more.
Yes, so
Okay,
this is
so
just
let's-
is just the portion about the communication plan, getting your feedback. It doesn't sound like you're ready to approve it. I would like Nicole and Liz to respond to John's comments
Yeah.
if you'd like them to.
Yeah, any
And then
other-
we would move on to talking about the calendar year 26 strategies.
Okay. Yeah, Chris?
Sure.
So just a quick comment. And I submitted this via email to Kristen. When I looked at the crisis communications section of this, one of the things that jumped out at me was really not specific mention of the schools and how the school department would work in this. Now, I know that within our process flow, you have department heads, but certainly we as a community have run into challenges with regards to crisis communication in our schools in the past few years. And I think it needs to be more explicitly laid out how that would work with what you're proposing here. I provided you all with some examples of recent issues that we've had. I did get a good response. I think you guys answered those questions well. I was hoping that that would be shared, maybe a couple of those examples tonight. I don't know if you're going to do that. But it would certainly maybe help people understand if we use some real world examples on how your crisis communication plan would actually work in practice.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So if those are the top line responses, why don't we resume the presentation? We'll have a chance to come back and ask more questions if we
So
have.
Nicole or Liz, do you have anything else related to the communication plan that you wanted to bring up with the board?
I did just want to answer someone's question from earlier about I believe it was Emily Teller, right? Just about the police activity not being a press release. And it just says that minor police activity would not be considered something that would warrant a press release. Because things like, you know, if there's a street closure or something like that, that's, you know, going to be over fast. We don't really need to send a press release out to the media. It's not something that they would cover. It's something that was more important to go on social media. I worked in the TV news for a long time, so I do know what the news likes to cover, and you know what warrants, you know, what's newsworthy in their eyes. So I did just want to address that one comment. But thank you for looking into the plan. We appreciate your feedback.
Sure, and Chris, to kind of go over the school departments and how we saw that with the crisis communication responses. One of the examples that we had was active shooter. If it fell under active shooter, it would actually be a public safety issue. It would be the police department that would become the spokesperson, not necessarily the school department. The school department would have a role in which they could provide support with a supporting statement. However, the lead would be the police or emergency management department. The school department would not issue any independent statements without running them through the town manager and the PIO for consistency with the messaging that's going out. So that was one of the protocols that we discussed in the emails going back and forth. As far as, you know, once the situation was, you know, resolved, a notification definitely should go out to, or a notification should be going out to the parents and the staff in situations that are considered low risk by the school department. It just depends on the level of emergency, I guess, or the crisis. So there's different thresholds for each one. An internal school communication where, you know, it's just a regular communication between the superintendent, staff, and students, that's fine for them to send out. However, there's like we said in the plan, there's different levels that would trigger different events. If you'd like, I can go more detail. I know it's snowing, and I know you guys have a compressed time frame, so we could go right into the 2026 plan, or we could go into a few more examples if you'd like.
I'd suggest we go ahead and if people have specific examples of, like, here's a situation I feel like we really need to address that either really happened to us or is speculative, maybe we can collect those, because I also would have an interest in seeing, like, here's an example of how the system would actually work in this circumstance. So why don't we collect those and give these folks a chance to respond to them. So why don't we go ahead and proceed?
Sure. Liz, do you want to share your screen?
I'm gonna do that right now. Oh, sorry. I don't know why it's being like this. There you go.
So for 2026, we have a little bit of a different approach for our communication strategy. Next slide, Liz. What we were thinking was on how to really be more impactful and how to really integrate ourselves into the town of Westford's communications more than what we've been in 2025. We've been speaking internally and with Kristen about coming there and being there one day a week, having an in-house PIO one day a week, which would allow us to be more integrated with the town staff, the board committee members, and community stakeholders. Next slide, Liz. Our goal is to produce, I think I missed something here. Our goal is to increase resident engagement through the in-house public information officer. It's a boots on the ground outreach approach, and potentially with select board open office hours, having informal conversations, inside town hall, rotating accessible locations, coordinating storytelling with the departments, and really resulting in more visible leadership and stronger community trust. Next slide. The bottom line is that we need to have a more story-driven approach to humanize local government and its core content. A lot of the times, just like some of the speakers here tonight, it kind of feels like a one-way. We're pushing information out. Let's receive information back in by telling stories about our staff, highlighting the projects, really talking to the volunteers and the students in leadership. They're really Westford trailblazers. We'd also like to share spotlights on board members and committee members about why they serve in boards and committees and giving back to their community. We'd like to work across the board with Discover Westford and highlighting why business owners started their business in Westford and their success stories as well. People engage with stories, not just announcements and not just the push out. We need to be pulling them back in and getting them to engage in those conversations. Next slide, please, Liz. We've also thought internally about a youth engagement and student partnership strategy. We really would like to get our younger generations involved. Maybe having a student government day and sharing in shadowing for positions in your departments. Working with the Public Works Department, shadowing the DPW director, or maybe having them work in the shop with the mechanics. We also thought about having a mock select board with students so that they could participate in local governance, really find their voice, and really bring an understanding to civic engagement and civic understanding. We'd like to partner with Westford Public Schools and Neshoba Valley Tech to develop a student-produced social media videos to be shared across all town channels as well as with WestfordCAT. And those videos will be really great for the Instagram channel that we're looking to launch this year in 2026. Next slide, please. Our goals are to build meaningful connections with members of the community and to support the Westford team in bridging cultural gaps by attending in-person events, really getting out there, walking the community, networking with community members, engaging with them at community centers, and providing materials that are multilingual and accessible. We'll continue to use our layered approach because inclusivity matters. Information should reach residents more than once and more than in one way. Next slide, Liz. We'll continue to measure our success, the success of our work by tracking metrics. With the enhanced Zen City modules, we'll be able to track sentiment, along with the newly enhanced website metrics supported by the work that Nathan's doing with Civic Plus. We'll gain more useful insights into where we need to improve and where online traffic is flowing. By participating in town and community events, we'll also gain insights through conversation and engagement, which will provide another level of metrics through the boots on the ground approach. I know I went through that really fast. Next slide. So if you have any questions about our 2026 approach, we're more than happy to answer those.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Kristen, anything before we go to the board?
I think one thing that we were also talking about is we want to make sure that we're measuring how our communications have grown over the past year. So CSS has prepared a draft survey for us. I have not rolled that draft out to the board yet for your review because I wanted to go through this conversation this evening. But we do want to get some more resident feedback about, are they seeing that our communications have strengthened and grown over the past year, and what do they want to see over the next year as well?
Okay, Chris.
I know I've mentioned this before, and it was not mentioned slightly on this last slide, the slide before this slide. about trying to improve on our collection of metrics and that our IT department is working on. Could you talk a little bit more in specifics on that?
Yeah, I'll
please?
start, and then I think Liz actually had a call with Nathan, our IT director, today. So we were able to unlock some areas of Civic Plus and get some more Google Analytics out of them. I believe that you'll be seeing those in either the January or the February metrics release. So Liz or Nicole, can you update the board on that, please?
Yeah, so Nathan and I have worked he has been trying to get in contact with Civic Plus. He's been reaching out a few times just so we can get access into the Google Analytics that they have set up. And right now it's just we're kind of just pigeonholed a little bit. They have us where we're not able to get in, and he's still using Mike Wells' account. But we're able to pull a lot more from Zen City now than we ever could before. I know that you guys you passed signed the new contract with Zen City. So Zen City has only been, or mostly been used for opportunities for residents and community members to share feedback through surveys. And now it's also going to be used as a social media management platform. So similar to what we have currently, which is called Deliver It. And it's a social media platform that allows us, the town, to basically have all the town accounts, all the social media accounts in one place, and to post across all of those accounts, and scheduling them and all that kind of stuff. So we now are going to transition to using Zen City because they have now added that as a new feature. And not only are we able to schedule and post on there, like Nicole had said, that we now have the ability to track new sentiments. So not new sentiments, we're able to basically track sentiments from residents regarding different types of topics we can put out there. We can put in different requests for different insights about if there's something going on in town. We're able to grab all that information, and it is like AI generated, and it basically is an analysis of what people are talking about in town. We did actually just put it into the January metrics. So it's pretty neat. I think we're gonna be using it a lot more because it does give you that kind of perspective that you can't necessarily see from all of our social media platforms, and kind of summarize it easily enough without having that kind of tool. So we're really excited about that. And then also I did want to mention that with Zen City, they also have a new feature. It's a new tool called the newsletter feature, which will allow us to send out news articles or different news alerts and announcements. We're still working to figure out the logistics of how to integrate that into our Civic Plus website, but we do think it's going to be really great moving forward with the town manager's newsletter, and being able to see that will give us a lot more insights into the metrics with the views and the different clicks, and on what page people are looking at, and then really see how that traffic is driving back to the website. So Zen City is really it's great, and I think that we're going to get a lot of use out of it, not only just for surveys, like I said, but now for using it for social media and for sending out news alerts and announcements and things like that. But I do believe that Nathan and I are still going to be working on this, getting the Google Analytics from Civic Plus up and running. But I was actually able to look into the metrics and get the town manager newsletter views. So that will be in the next metrics report for you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Sean?
Real quick, Kristen, does our contract with CSS, is that all through 26?
It is through calendar year 26, so
Okay.
our contract currently ends December 31st, 2026. We do have in the fiscal year 27 budget a half a year for consultancy services for communications.
Okay. So that would get us through the remainder of fiscal year 27.
Correct.
Okay. Can I ask a
Yeah.
follow-up thought?
Go for it.
All right. Don't know if this is directed to you or not, Kristen, but the services that they just discussed, right? Having someone on site a couple days a week or a day a week, that's something that would be included in the current contract?
That is correct. So we
Okay.
are working within the current budget and the current contract. We're not talking about any increased costs through this calendar year.
Great. And then, one more.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never want to overstep. If we, would we have to vote on the comprehensive communication plan that we have in front of us before the CSS could get started on what they proposed today? Or?
I don't believe so. You could
Okay.
certainly provide them direction of I like this, I don't like this. Mike and I meet with them every 2 weeks to talk about strategy and direction. And, you know, they helped Mike roll out the pay-as-you-throw social media webpage, all of that. They're currently doing our annual report. They do the town manager newsletter. These are enhancements that we want to see. So they spent the majority of calendar year 2025 working with departments, boards, and committees on the communication plan, in addition to acting as our public information officer and assisting with website updates, news flashes, social media. These are enhancements that they can now do with their budget because they are not working on the communication plan in calendar year 2026.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, along the line of Sean's thoughts. So it sounds like we have 6 months to take a look at this new strategy. I find it quite encouraging. The boots on the ground part I find pretty encouraging because I feel like our engagement mission is to engage with people where they are, and not everyone's going to be like engaged in more of the same things that we've been doing. So I'll definitely have my eyes open to how that integrates, and we'll certainly want to look at. I know we've talked with the DEI committee and others about how engagement might work in the next 12 months. So we'll just have to make sure that this is integrated into what all the other engagement things that we're thinking about. But I think it's an interesting opportunity. No?
I just want to make a comment about the use of AI. This has been brought up a lot around town, and I want to make sure that we're being conscious of how much we're using it and the environmental impact that it has, and not becoming too dependent on it and contributing to a bigger problem. That's just my comment.
Okay. Yeah, so some visibility into how the work's being done, I think, is a useful ask. Other things from the board, and then we can see if anyone has a comment from the public.
Yeah, just a real quick comment, which is that I love the idea of having someone here on a regular basis. I think one thing that I've learned from Westford in the last couple of elections are, there's Westford that you see online, and then there's Westford that you see by actually having discussions with people on the ground. And sometimes they're vastly different. So I would encourage you folks to be here as much as you can, of course, budget permitting. So, thank you.
And one more
Well,
question. The social media posts, once they're up there, there's no real engagement in the comments from the communications consultant. And so there's been a kind of a grassroots of people around town that have been correcting information on there. But I'm wondering if we need to create some sort of like a communications committee of volunteers who specifically will go on and make sure that misinformation isn't being spread and correct things like that, so that we're not just putting out the information, but we're also correcting anything in the comments that is incorrect.
Do you mean on the town's own asset, or do you mean on like things that get reposted into Westford Friends or other things that are not town assets?
Specifically the town, but I think a broader view of all of the town social media pages.
Yeah.
I think that's a big problem. I've been helping
Yeah.
with the
In
page
the
you
middle
throw,
of
and
that,
I'm seeing
yeah.
a lot of misinformation out there. I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, so back to the scenarios that we may want to collect and make sure we see how these things work through the policy as designed. One of the things that sort of drove us to want to do this in the beginning was the feeling that we'd sort of lost control of the narrative in the public space around the override. And so I keep having this hunger for seeing like, let's go through this scenario of something we've actually seen happen. How would we act on this communication plan? What would we see? What actions would we take? And so I have an interest in that too. Like, how are we going to respond to these things that we know are happening out there that we want to have more input on? We want to make sure people are getting good information. But I think we're also aware that there are things that can be pretty ineffective about people, stepping in and responding all the time. So in any case, I think some clear expert guidance is like an important part of using an external consultant, I think. So I would agree that we need it'd be good to spend time on working through those examples.
Well, and it may be easy as just, here's a link to the FAQ page, right? I always get concerned about if we're taking a say in the discussion, right? Because you can have two different viewpoints and you want to, misinformation, sometimes in attacking misinformation, you can start attacking people's opinions, and you don't want to veer into that, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling there's a right way to do this. And we have gotten some advice on how to handle it, but I think having that be a bigger part of what, since that's the bigger part of the problem that we're thinking about, having that be more present in the document would be helpful. Yep, Chris?
So I do like the idea of having somebody here on a day of the week, but I question the effectiveness of that in terms of increasing community engagement. So kind of walk me through how you see having somebody in the office will help us, say, increase engagement with young families in the community and or maybe the Asian community and other areas of the community that maybe never even stepped foot in Westford Town Hall. I don't see how that's going to really help. Yes, you might get the occasional foot traffic in, maybe you can talk to somebody. Certainly the synergies that you could establish with people who are in this building would be great, departments, but I don't see how you're going to really get out there and get in depth with the actual Westford residents if you're sitting here at Town Hall from 9 to 4 or whatever.
Sure, Chris. The intent is not for the person to just go and sit in town hall. It would be either myself or Clara or a staff member that's coming in. And we would actually walk the community, and if there was an event going on, if there was, ribbon cutting for something, or if there was something happening within the Westford community, we would attend those events on behalf of the town of Westford. We would be an extension of the arm of Westford, so that there's representation there, but as well as opening those gates and maybe going to the community centers and knocking on the doors and saying, hi, I'm Nicole, I'm from Capital Strategic Solutions. We're helping Westford, the town, increase our communications flow, and we'd like to have a cup of coffee with you, and maybe, Chris, you could join me. Or one of the select board members could join me if they had a day off or some free time. I know that you guys are all pressed for time, or maybe Kristen or Mike, or even a department head. We could walk the community and talk to the people and really get out there and in there. And there are events that happen during the day at different schools, community centers, and other things. Or it could be a flexible type of thing where if something is going on a Tuesday evening, we could show up on Tuesday evening and be a part of that event as well. It's not going to be, we're going to work our best with Kristen and Mike Edwards to make sure that we can cover as many events and really get out there and immerse ourselves in Westford. It's only going to, we're a limited budget, we can't be there for everything, but we're going to try to do as much as we possibly can.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're going to adopt a flexible approach. I think that'll be much better, so thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
I wanted to just mention and just chime in real quick, also for Discover Westford, and I've also done campaigns in the past for communities where we go to different small businesses and highlight different small businesses, and for like small business not awareness week, small business week, and kind of really drive home that Westford's a great place to not only live but also work and to establish a business. And those are the kinds of things that we do want to get involved with in the town. And the sky is the limit with the different types of campaigns and social media content we can put out there, and really going and knocking on doors and getting engaged and involved with the residents is really important. But it's also important for the business owners too in that community.
Great. We're almost at time, but let me just ask if there are any questions from the public. Yep. I see Angela and I see Ellen. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Angela Harkness, 15 Castle Road. I just, a couple of things that Sean and Chris said struck me, and I'm just wondering, are there any concrete figures on the number of people in town that do not communicate by or get their news from social media? Do we have any idea what that number is? I'll take that as a no, I guess.
I don't have any concrete numbers of how many people in town don't get their news from social media, but that's why we use a layered approach. So it's on the website, it's on the newsletters. When it's press worthy, we do send it out to the media so that people can be informed. But I think this is good information that you're providing to us too when we're out there walking, is trying to figure out where everybody's getting their information from. I think it's also covered in the survey that we put together. Is that correct, Liz?
Excuse me. I just wanted to say this exact same thing, that is my hope with the survey, that we'll be able to send that out. And there's a question specifically to ask, how would you like to receive your information? How do you get it now? There are those two questions. And I think those are really valuable. And once we get, do the best we can of getting the survey out there and getting people to take it. And once we roll it out, I think that'll be great. And it will be great insight into, where do we start? What's next? What communities can we engage with more? Or, what can we do to get you the news and information that you're not currently receiving, or how to get the attention on, signing up for Notify Me and alerts for different boards and committees and all that kind of stuff. So I do think that the survey really will have will be beneficial to find out that information.
Great.
I was just thinking that what Sean said particularly is indicative of the fact that there are a significant number of people now, probably not a majority by any means, but there's a significant number of people in that category who don't get their news from or communicate by social media. And I just want to make sure they're not ignored.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely not.
Ellen?
Ellen Hardy, 39 Main Street, and it sort of follows on what Angela just said. Liz said that the goal is to be sure that everybody is communicated with. And I just like to take the example of the communication that came from Liz's office and from the town manager within the last few weeks about the town manager's newsletter, which has been a very, very, very popular way for people to find out what's happening in town. And we received notice that it was going to be changed a lot. And apparently there was feedback to that about how it was going to be changed, not positive feedback. And the response was another letter, which I think may have come from Liz and Nicole's office. It was over Chris's signature. That we heard what you said, and what I read into that was, but that's not really how people in Westford want to get their news. What we're really going to do is we're going to ask everybody to go to the web pages of the different town boards and committees rather than expecting to see it in the newsletter from the town manager every month. And in addition to that, if being savvy on the web pages is not your thing, here's a training manual that you can click on that will teach you how to do that. We're leaving out an entire demographic that Angela just mentioned. The thrust of this whole, enthusiastic pitch and what we've hired this company to do is leaving out a lot of people in Westford who really like the town manager's newsletter. And they even like the fact that they can open it up and read it sitting down and not have to click on anything. And I think we're losing that. And I'm in that demographic, so I really care about that. But and that's not in jest. I think much of this is well-intentioned, but I think it's going down the wrong path. And I don't think it's where Westford is, and I don't think it's where Westford should be going. So I really ask you to ponder that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen. Yep. Emily?
Emily Scheller, 9 Texas Road. I echo a lot of what Ellen's saying. I never read the town manager's newsletter online. I always pick it up when I come to town hall, and I pursue every word that's in it at the time. And I really was a little upset because I'm a publicity person for Westford Climate Action, and we used to send stuff into the newsletter and it would be printed. And now it's like, well, I don't think that's going to happen. And how many people click on the newsletter? That's a question I have in terms of the 26,000 people we have here in Westford, or the whatever, adults. I don't know the answer to that. And is it a lot? Has it changed over the past year?
So this is one of the things that Nicole and our IT director are trying to get through from Civic Plus, of how many people click on the newsletter from our website metrics. So Liz, I don't know if you can answer that this evening, but I know it's in progress, and that is something we've been trying to unlock I also don't know how many people are forwarding that newsletter as a PDF or something else that we are not capturing the clicks to understand, but I hear your comments.
And I also feel that, if you haven't gotten the number of clicks over the past year before the changes happen, I'm wondering what the difference is. I haven't, actually seen the new newsletter where we can't just submit directly. And I also, are you all the ones who are doing the town report this year?
Yes.
Because I'm on the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail board, and I submitted a form. I mean, the form came to me. It was very late that I submitted. I apologize in person. But the questions that were asked, I ended up writing way more than I would have for a town article. I mean, some of it was background, some of it was just other things. Normally, I just put in the news that's happened in the past calendar year, and it's like a max of 3 pages. I have no idea. I'm very curious to see what will come out of my submittal and your editing of that. But, that's, again, very different. It was sort of, okay, we can't submit directly. We have to go through this uniform process. And I think that takes away from some of the character of how people put stuff in our town newsletter. And I just have one other question. Can I ask how many towns the firm serves as a PIO?
Sure. Yeah, Nicole, Liz, do you have that off the top of your head?
Sure. We're presently serving 2 towns as a PIO, but we serve it as a PIO on a project level to probably over, 15 different projects that we're working on, large-scale infrastructure projects, communications for engineering firms, but we're presently Westford's PIO. We are assisting the town of Brookline with their communication services. We've also assisted the town of Plainville, as well as Westminster. It's at different scales that we serve as communications.
It's not 200 towns that you're serving, so that's what
No, it's not 200 towns that we're serving, no.
Because I think Ellen and I, and maybe some other people, we worry about losing the closeness that we feel in this town by how we communicate together. And also, I really would like to somehow get groups that aren't represented, like the Asian American population, the Indian American population. We are diverse. This town is already very diverse, but there are people who are not in the mainstream or included in a lot of ways. So I'm glad you're working on that. But we're a pretty unique town too, and I think there are a lot of connections here that people are nervous about losing.
Thanks.
We don't want you to lose any of your connections. As a matter of fact, we want to make more connections, with those diverse community members that maybe we're not reaching right now. Yeah. Which is why in 2026 we want to do that boots on the ground approach and get to as many events as we possibly can, and I'd love to spend some time with you.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Any other comments from the public?
Tom, if I may.
Yep.
Seeing as we did have several comments on this from the public, and I've heard this also from the public. Kristen, do you have any response about the town manager's newsletter? Can we go back to the old format? It sounds like it's well loved. People want to see it. I think we made a change.
You can offer multiple paths, but can we get back? You hate to have a set of customers or people that are really locked into something and love it. It's hard to get people to engage. The thought of losing anybody that's already engaged and making them unengaged is terrifying.
So I actually have our weekly meeting with CSS tomorrow. That is already on the agenda based upon the feedback we received. So we're going to be talking about, do we automatically revert back to what we had? Do we do something hybrid, or do we do something else? So I really appreciate the feedback we received over email and the feedback we received today. It's very important for us to get that. We're not intentionally trying to change the culture of the fabric of Westford. We're testing a few things out. We appreciate your patience with us, and we're always willing to revert and move in a different direction if that's not what the public wants. So.
One additional ask.
Yep, no,
you have the yes, thank you, I appreciate it. That you potentially look at expanding the outreach for that newsletter by publishing in some of the languages that the communications plan basically suggests we do, and see if we can get it out to some of those communities.
And I think the Zen City platform may allow for some translation as well while we're investigating that newsletter.
This also didn't come before this committee, but that's going to be one of the main DEI joint initiatives, is to go out to communities where they are and where they meet and figure out the right way to engage with them. So we got a good teammate. We want to sync up with the schools to make sure we're all together, but that's a major push for us. Sarah, last comment on this?
Yeah, just a comment about the town manager's report and how Nick comes up and you record a video message as well, we could put that town manager PDF with that and send it out in the news and reach a few more people digitally that way.
Awesome, thank you.
So
Okay.
could I ask a clarifying question? So I know John had some questions and concerns still on the communications plan. I want to understand what direction the select board would like us to take. We don't want this to linger much longer, but we want to make sure we get it in a format that you all are comfortable with. So I'd just like either tonight or another meeting, some direction of how you'd like us to proceed.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to go back through, I understand John's point. I think, at least what I heard was there's two things. One is, whatever the plan is should be in response to some sort of policy statement. So I think we should look at what that would look like. What shape is that? Where does it belong? What is it exactly? And then I think there's another set of questions about when would the select board act in concert with the town manager in response to something? The way it's written now, it's sort of like the town manager handles it and maybe we find out later, which I know is not the intent. But maybe we should try to make it more explicit. There are many, many cases when efficient operation, I think, would be that we would want the town, if it's urgent, quick, may not be easy to find us, it's a police-related matter, it's public safety, it's highway, like, of course we want those things to be streamlined, but there are probably other kinds of things that, both in the school-town interaction and also in sort of our role as elected representatives of the town interaction, we probably need a space for times that we're coordinating communication like that.
Sure.
So I guess, why don't you and I work on figuring out how we want to address those two questions, and also invite the select board members, if you have scenarios that are on your mind of like public response issues that we've either seen or you're concerned about seeing, if you can send those to us, I want to make sure we run them through the plan and we know, okay, we know we have these kinds of issues, we've seen them before, we want to handle them better. What does this policy say about how that would be handled? I just want to make sure it's clear, because I'm not sort of totally clear in my own reading exactly how this rule set applies to the situations we've seen.
Right, and so I apologize, because I had a communication directly with Chris Munz, I should have involved you.
Yeah.
And we probably should have looped you in, so I will send that to you, and then it's up to you if you want to distribute it to the rest of the board.
Okay.
We did go through 4 scenarios, and they did provide us with some details on how that plan would apply to those scenarios.
Okay.
So that's at least a starting point, and we can go from there.
Okay.
I have one question. You referenced a crisis communication plan. Does that exist?
It is within the document that you reviewed. So
So
there's a
that's it.
regular, yes, so there's a
This is
regular
within the
communication
document.
plan, and then we go
Okay.
in further into detail on crisis.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, John, if you have like scenarios or situations that you'd like to highlight, maybe Chris's documents already covered them, but I think if part of it is like, okay, exactly on the ground, how does this thing get interpreted and used? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I've been through some of these things, and it's always a level, who's on scene commander, as things ratchet up.
Yep.
And this changes over time.
Yep.
And then that goes through a hierarchy until a certain point when you have to take action. I mean, you have to.
Yeah, maybe that's another way to look
So
at it. Is there some,
it's how-
what are the scenarios that would escalate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it escalates through, and then at some point in time, we need to be engaged.
Yeah.
And
There has to be some
uh,
escalation path that involves
You're
us.
not sitting there waiting to be invited.
Yep.
Because, that was kind of the point I got, is that I got this sense that we weren't needed until we were asked for. And the question is, if we stay engaged, at some point in time, we need to be involved.
Right, there's a set of situations that we would need to be in consultation. So
Yeah.
let's
It's
clarify
our
those two.
responsibility.
Is that enough to work on?
Liz and Nicole, are you clear? I think I'm clear.
I'm very clear on the direction forward, so we can discuss that in our meeting tomorrow, and we can add that into the plan on when the select board would be involved in certain situations and when it has to be, crisis mode, and we'd follow the lead of the incident commander. The crisis communication plan, just so that we're all clear too, we follow the FEMA and the MEMA standard for that, for crisis communications. That way, therefore, it escalates up to the next level, and you have to get, let's say, a county or state official involved, or even the federal government involved. We're all following the same command for crisis command statutes.
I did want to mention too that we
Yep.
did have a crisis communications training with staff. I think back in September. So yeah, we did have that training as well, just so that staff were aware of how it would work, and that was also in alignment with FEMA.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole and Liz, we appreciate you being here tonight. We're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is the 7:50.
Thank you.
Yes, have a good night, thank you. Next item up is the request from the school committee regarding changing the date of annual town meeting. So I guess first of all, Kristen, thank you so much for outlining, I think, sort of a potential plan A, which is that we would basically pull together a small team. You identified who the members of that team might be, to basically answer some questions, identify a few quick surveys, basically to try to make sure we know what effect we're having on people. We're driving for max engagement, we're driving for efficient budget process and engagement in the budget processes themselves, both school side and town side. I guess let me ask the select board, and I know Catherine's online too, do people feel comfortable with that approach? That would culminate in us bringing this issue before the October town meeting, with the idea that if we bring it forward, if it gets voted on, it would take effect in the next cycle. Obviously not this coming town meeting in March, but it would be a cycle a year from now if we made that change. Are folks okay with?
Just clear, ATM of 2027.
ATM of 2027, yes. You feel okay with that as an outline?
It's great.
Yeah, Sean?
Just a quick thank you to Kristen. I know we kind of asked this on short notice, so I appreciate the hard work that went into the memo, and I think that it kind of checks all the boxes and just the issues that we brought up. So.
And I do want to, I know we just promoted Catherine Clear here, but we just want to appreciate, Mike and I had a one-on-one conversation after your meeting to understand what the school committee or her individual concerns were, and what your concerns were, and what our thought process was for potentially putting this on an October town meeting rather than this March town meeting, due to wanting to have more engagement with the residents, think this through a little bit more, understand budget implications and other things. So I appreciate the joint effort from everyone on that. And Catherine has raised her hand, so I'm going to allow her to talk.
Yeah, Sean, why don't you go ahead while Catherine's activating.
I just not to open up a can of worms, but so I mean, if we are going down this path, then we have to be prepared to either ignore our own policy that's on point for annual town meeting, or just make a change to it at some point. And
yeah, we would at some time in session we'd say we understand this policy, we understand the value of it.
Sure.
Are we deliberately making an exception for this purpose? And we would agree to, or not, but we would come before.
I think it also it falls under the timeliness bullet of that guidelines, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a good argument for that.
You can justify it.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Hi, Catherine, can you hear us?
She's not activated.
Catherine, I'm asking you to unmute, but I don't know if that is activating on your end.
Energize.
Shape of a.
You're up.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Looks like she may
Sure,
have
yeah,
fallen off.
I assume it would be a change of the bylaws, right, to change the
Yes.
town meeting. So does that have to go through the Attorney General's office, and does therefore that eliminated happening in March or May or whatever of 2027? I mean, how fast is that going to move?
They have 90 days.
Oh, great.
So Catherine is now, I believe, unmuted.
Sorry, guys. It booted me out, so I had to come back in.
No problem.
Yeah, no, I saw the memo, Kristen. I appreciate you guys have taken some time and have come up with the plan. And I think the one thing I kind of would suggest is, I know you'd mentioned some school committee and select board members, but I would also consider adding somebody from FinCom, I think, to that group. You know, considering they're in the thick of the budget process too, I think it would be helpful.
Okay, thanks for the suggestion. I'll make sure we follow up with Christina.
Okay.
As well.
But I appreciate you taking the time and having a look at this. So thank you for that, guys.
Okay. Thank you. Well, good. I think we have a good plan. So I think what we can do as select board is, I guess, would you like a vote to move forward with that plan, which will also involve reaching out to the community for the member at large and all that?
Yes, and I think I'd like to acknowledge if this is or is not a formal committee. If it's not a formal committee, we don't have to post all of that. So I want that clarity from the board. And also the clarity from a staff perspective is that we'd like to get started after town meeting, as our focus right now is the budget and the town meeting, and run this from, you know, beginning to middle of April through late May, early June, to give people time to then make a decision if it's gonna be on the October warrant.
I think definitely we understand that this would take action after town meeting. And then the other, I guess, I'm trying to remember, like, we've had task force of various forms before. Is there, what format do you propose for maximum efficiency?
I would prefer not to have it as a board or committee, so we don't have to post public meetings. We can certainly make meetings available for the public, but I think to get the work done in this short time frame, I think it's best to work in task force format where people can come together and meet and gather data, evaluate it, go out to the public for information. So that would be my recommendation.
And in past task forces, I think all meetings were still public. We had everything on Zoom, I think, with some access to the public.
I know the budget task force was an official board or committee.
Oh, it was just called a task force.
So it was
Okay.
called a task force. I was not involved in your former school and safety, student town building safety task force or other task force. So I don't have that knowledge and would defer to others.
Okay. And any reaction from the board about format of this working group? Yep.
I would prefer a task force. I think, you know, we can keep it, you know, keep minutes, make it public as much as we need to. But I do think some flexibility would be great to allow us to accomplish this work within the time frame. So yeah, however we can make that work, I think I would prefer it.
Okay. So I think what we're talking about is,
So a working group.
yeah.
Yes.
So asking Kristen to move forward with creation of working group. I think we'd want to use the regular process for requesting the at-large position.
So yeah.
And so if people are all comfortable with that, any comments from the public?
How would we evaluate who we select for that at-large position?
Same way we would do it for
Yeah,
any other.
Okay.
Yeah, come from the select board. And
Okay.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be appointed, they would be selected for the working group. Okay. I know this is semantics, I apologize.
No, it's a good question.
Okay.
Tom,
Yep.
just a point of clarification. You do state in here, a short poll at the end of the March 28th, 2026 town meeting, but do you?
We can get that done.
Okay.
Yep,
Just
we
wanted to
can use our
clarify
Zen
that.
City tool, create a 1 to 2 question. It's more of like an exit poll. Do you prefer town meeting in March or May? Or, you know, something very simple.
Morning or night?
Yep.
Sure.
box.
Comment box.
Okay.
We
Great.
can accomplish that for.
I think we'd so I'll entertain a motion to direct town manager to pursue creation of a working group as outlined in her memo.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is our 8 o'clock item, and we're going to welcome our Madame Moderator to come join us. And Kristen, what, do we need a recap of the current state of the order and?
Sure, yes. So, thank you, Madam Moderator, for being with us this evening. At your last meeting, we did go through the potential warrant. This evening, we have our motions document before us that has a little bit more detail, but you will be voting on the warrant to set the order, close the warrant, and sign the warrant. Since we last met, 2 articles have been taken off. So the Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee has asked for the opt-in stretch code to be moved to the October special town meeting. They did not feel that they could be prepared enough to bring that forward. And also on that draft warrant that you had before you, there were 2 articles related to the Cameron Center HVAC and building controls. We reviewed that with town council and believe, and now we know that that can be combined into 1 article. So before you have 22 articles for the annual town meeting warrant. We worked with the moderator and town council to arrange those articles in an order that we feel would be the best fashion for the moderator to lead the meeting, as well as for the voters to understand and walk through. So I'm happy to go through these line by line. I don't know if you had any opening comments that you wanted to make other than.
I think that the order of the articles is fine now, the way it is, after our conversations. I appreciate you taking my comments into consideration, and I think you're ready to go.
Yeah, and Kristen, I think there's probably only a need if there's something new. We have walked through these a few times now.
So there's nothing new.
Okay.
I will note that the Community Preservation Committee is also meeting tonight. They have not given their recommendations yet, but we included all of that, and it will be flushed out in the motions. The Finance Committee will be voting on the financial articles on Thursday evening, and then continuing their review on February 26th. You'll have your first review and vote on recommendations on February 24th, and then again your first meeting in March. So that is really a summary of the next steps moving forward.
Okay.
And we have.
Go ahead.
We have been able to upload the majority of the packet documents to our town meeting webpage already. So we feel that we're a little bit ahead of the curve this year related to these articles. We will be doing more updating tomorrow and throughout the week as packet materials come in. And we are having a logistics meeting tomorrow where we then will be updating the website with the accessibility information, childcare, transportation, and all of that. So it's very much a work in progress, but we do have a work plan, and things will be moving forward very quickly.
Such a big production, it's something that I think we've gotten very good at. I want to, maybe I'll knock wood here on the table, but any questions? Yep, Chris?
Have you guys decided which articles are gonna have presentations? I know this is something we've talked about in the past. Can you just give us a brief highlight on what those may be?
So we have not talked about which ones. I think we've talked internally. We will be having a motions meeting where that will be made very clear. The Madam Moderator is also considering what she will be putting on the consent agenda as well. So those items will be very clearly communicated and discussed.
When would that come? If we were interested in how the decisions were made about what's getting presented and what's not, what's the best way for us to engage in that? Will that come to us, or would that be the motion?
I think we could talk about that when you are deliberating your recommendations on the articles. You know, we will be
Is that
giving.
convenient for you?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. For me, I just need to have the information before the meeting. For the public, they'll be seeing a lot of the presentations if they watch the League of Women Voters presentation, which is on the 18th, I believe, is that 19th, because many of the people who are presenting will be there and make their presentations at that meeting. And also, I know we'll post as many of them in writing as possible on the website as soon as we can, so that the public can also avail themselves of that information.
And I know we're going to be doing some videos on some certain things like pay-as-you-throw and the operations analyst. Capital Strategic Solutions, like they did last year, will be putting out press and media on all of the articles as well to get as much information out there. And they work with WCAT to put things on their pages as well.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, so I think what we're doing tonight is to set the order and close the warrant, and we would sign that afterwards.
Yes, the packet, the warrant is here for you to sign. The chair initials every page, and then there are 6 pages for each member to sign. And then tomorrow, those will be posted by Ms. Doobie. Thank you very much for doing that for us tomorrow.
Fabulous, Patty. Okay.
And then the signed version will go on the website. Right now, the draft version is on the website.
Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion to set the order as presented in our agenda and close the warrant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's
And we
unanimous.
vote to sign the warrant as well.
Yes, so we vote to sign it instead of just signing it?
You vote to sign it as
Okay.
well. Yes.
I'll also entertain a motion
Sorry for
to
being-
sign. We're going to vote to sign the warrant, and then we'll actually sign the warrant. So I'll entertain a motion to sign the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimously approved. We are now at item B under old and new business.
Anything else?
Just
Thank you
before
very
you
much.
finish,
Yes.
for the purposes of the public and information they need, what you've done is just finalize and sign the warrant,
Mhm.
which, as Kristen said, will be up on the town meeting website probably tomorrow. In addition, the second document is the motions document, which is already up in draft form on the website. Those are the motions that will be presented at the meeting. Those could change slightly between now and the meeting. The wording could change, the numbers could change. The warrant is now final. Nothing else can be added or taken away, but the wording of the motions might change. So I just want people to be aware of that what they're reading now may not, on the motions document, may not be the final document.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification, and also in future meetings, we'll have discussion of each one, and in most cases, the select board will take a position. So there's airing these out in much more detail between now and town meetings.
Right.
Thank you.
And residents will receive the paper mailed postcard as well. We'll be going to.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Yep.
So under the old new business, we're on item B, appointment of animal control officer Stacy Bruce and ACO Kristen Hirschler, terms expiring April 30, 2027. Any discussion or questions about that one? Okay, if there are none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the appointment as described in our agenda.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We also, oh my gosh, get out your handkerchiefs. We are also going to acknowledge receipt of the resignation of John Cunningham. John, thank you for your service in all the chapters of service you've had for our country and our town.
Yeah.
We are so grateful to have had you here, and thank you for staying with us until May. Your work is much appreciated. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
And I think the business before us is, there's several paths that we could pursue from here. I think our intention is to move forward at the May 5th election. So this would be a one-year term that would come up for election through the ordinary process. If someone was interested in pulling papers for that, they, I think, only have until the end of March, like the other
I
candidates have
believe it's
pulled.
March 17th.
March 17th. Okay, so a little bit more than a month, but if someone's interested in taking that, they would be on the same timeline that the sort of ordinary candidates are on. And do we need to vote to that effect? Any other clarifying language?
So you actually have two votes this evening. So I prepared a memo in your packet that you must vote to acknowledge the receipt of the resignation of Mr. Cunningham, and then you move and vote to fill the vacancy left by the resignation by placing the remainder of the unexpired term on the ballot for May 5th.
Okay, so apologies for not
It's okay.
getting
I can
this
give
open
you
here.
my laptop.
Oh yeah,
It's
let me just do that. That's easier. Okay, so first I'll entertain a motion to, yep, go ahead.
Just
Sean.
real quick, Tom, point of clarification. Are there any alternatives to this? I mean, not
Oh,
not to say that we want to, but like, I mean, theoretically, couldn't the board just appoint someone?
No,
to
the
this?
board
No.
cannot just appoint someone. So
Okay.
you could leave the seat open,
Okay.
and then there could be a citizen's petition by 200 registered voters to have a special election, which would be additional cost and time to the
Okay.
town. Or you could follow the path of receiving and acknowledging the resignation and opening that vacant seat for this town election. So those
Okay.
are really the two paths that you can take.
Which are a cost saving because we already have all the staff ready.
We have
for
the
that
staff ready
anyways,
for that
right?
election, that's
Yeah,
correct.
okay. All right, okay, just want to make sure.
No, I'm glad you asked the question. So this
Thank you.
is not the only way we could do it, but it's I guess sort of the most efficient way to do it.
Okay, great.
And it gets someone representing the people most quickly.
Absolutely, and we have time, right?
Yes, we do have
Okay.
time. Yes, it has to be within 65 days of the election.
Sure.
Year end.
Thank you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt of the resignation of John Cunningham. Well, we're also gonna, that's the agenda item. Okay, I'm gonna entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt of the resignation of John Cunningham.
Sadly so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Very, very sad indeed. And the second part of this is,
It's in front of you too.
okay.
The vote to fill the vacancy
Thank you.
left by John.
So I'll also entertain a motion to fill the vacancy left by John Cunningham's resignation by placing the remainder of the unexpired term on the ballot for the May 5th, 2026 annual town election and to notify town clerk of same.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Thank you so much, and sorry for the sad business, yes.
One more point of clarification.
Yes.
Are we just doing whoever receives the least votes would fill that role, or is someone going to pull papers for that?
Someone needs to pull papers,
Got
so
it.
papers are available tomorrow morning at the clerk's office.
Okay.
So someone would, so there are two, so just to be clear,
Yeah.
right now, Tom and Chris are up for reelection for a 3-year term. Then there's going to be a 1-year term left by John's seat. So those papers would be pulled separately. So someone could pull papers for that 1-year term, or someone could pull papers for the 3-year term
Got it.
seats.
Okay, great, thank you.
Please.
So, just Vicky Geary, okay.
Yep, Vicky.
Question.
Welcome, Vicky.
Okay. If, for one thing, you guys probably know this already, put some publicity behind the fact that, this is occurring because the runway to get to the deadline in March is not that long. But for my clarification, in the event that no one pulls papers for the 1-year term, what's the other option to fill the seat? Or there's just doesn't get filled?
So the other option is that there could be a citizen's petition filed with 200 registered voters to call for a special election after November. Excuse me, after.
It has to be elected, it's not.
It has to be an elected position, that is correct.
So,
Yes.
so if that didn't happen, then the seat would remain vacant for the remainder of the 3-year term.
Okay.
And then
One year
these-
term.
Well,
Yes.
is a remainder, one more
One
year.
year, yes.
To get to.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the town clerk's office is providing press on this as of tomorrow. Christie Bates has one other.
Yes, Christie, please.
Press. Thank you. Point of clarification, I think, Kristen, you said someone can pull papers for the 3-year term or the 1-year term. Could they pull for both?
I don't believe so. I think they have to acknowledge that they're pulling for one or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like Christie has a plan. Okay. We have actually covered everything else under the town manager's report. Any questions about correspondence?
There is no correspondences.
Okay, so we don't even have to vote to waive questions. Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, Westford.